I wish to acknowledge this land on which we are meeting today. For thousands of years, it has been the traditional land of the Huron-Wendat, the Seneca, and the Mississaugas of the Credit. Today, this meeting place is still the home to many Indigenous people from across Turtle Island, and we're grateful to have the opportunity to work on this land. Indigenous communities across Ontario are leading a diverse range of transportation initiatives that strengthen mobility, economic opportunities, and community well-being. These initiatives include expanding on-demand transit services in remote regions, developing active transportation infrastructure to support walking and cycling, and enhancing winter road networks that connect northern communities. By advancing these projects, Indigenous communities are shaping transportation systems that reflect their priorities, support cultural continuity, and improve access to essential services. First off today, I want to invite Karen Chappell to say some introductory remarks. Karen is the director of the School of Cities at the University of Toronto, where she also serves as professor in the Department of Geography and Planning. She's Professor Emerita of City and Regional Planning at the University of California, Berkeley, where she served as department chair and held the Carmel P. Friesen Chair in Urban Studies.
Good morning, everyone. It's great to see all these transportation researchers in the room. I'm here to kick off the conference in part because the Mobility Network is a key part of the School of Cities. So when the Mobility Network was formed in 2021, the university, in its great wisdom, decided to place it under the School of Cities. It actually makes a lot of sense, right? And so Eric Miller and Judy Farvolden got it all going and did a tremendous amount of foundational work that without which we would not be in this room together today. So what they did was they identified all the transportation researchers across many, many different disciplines and departments at the University of Toronto. They identified key issues that we ought to be working on. And most of all, they built a community of students, grad students, postdocs, that really revitalized the idea of transportation research in the GTHA and Canada. And the reason this is so important is that unlike many other countries, Canada doesn't have a structure from the federal government of transportation research. And it's really Canada's loss. And I come from the US. I know about the University Transportation Centers. They've funded my research and many, many other researchers for decades. And it's built up this amazing transportation expertise south of the border. We don't have that here. So in comes Steve Farver. Took over as interim director of the Mobility Network, and he has brought it to a new level, recognizing the tremendous need we have in Canada for this kind of expertise. So with that, I'm going to turn it back to Steve.
Thanks, Karen. Okay, I probably was supposed to do that, but okay, so really a warm welcome to this inaugural PATH conference. It's really wonderful to see you all here today. Whether you've come from local, provincial, federal government, the community and private sectors, or from the University of Toronto as our alumni, faculty, postdocs, grad students, or our research collaborators. Your presence today reflects our shared commitment we all have to advancing transportation and housing solutions for the region. I'd like to begin by acknowledging the incredible efforts of the Mobility Network team. I don't know, Jasvini, Khadija and Jasmine, who have worked tirelessly to organize this conference. And it's really your dedication that makes today possible. So I'll pause and give a little round of applause for those. I'm also grateful for some financial support from the Office of Institutional Strategic Initiatives, as well as the School of Cities for their contribution to helping us take the next steps in our journey. And of course, a special thanks goes out to Professor Eric Miller. Hi, Eric. For his amazing leadership as the past director of the Mobility Network. Eric's work has really been pivotal in organizing the university's transportation research community, fostering external connections, and ensuring that our work resonates beyond the academic sphere. His efforts have left us with a very, very strong foundation to build on, and not to mention a perfectly timed budget with which to host this wonderful event today. So Eric, your decades of service at the university continue to inspire us all. And reflecting on my own journey, I remember 10 years ago arriving at U of T, feeling excited and also reassured that as an assistant professor, I knew that I'd found a place where collaboration would thrive amongst different units at the university, as well as with the larger transportation and planning ecosystem outside, as we say, in the real world. But you know, with initiatives like the City Center and then UTRI and now Mobility Network, everything that Eric dedicated his really precious time to nurturing. This is, you know, he created a sense of community and a shared vision for all of us that I'm very dedicated to continuing as the director of the Mobility Network. One of the great strengths of the University of Toronto is our sheer depth and breadth of research that takes place here. Across faculties, institutes, schools, research groups, U of T has become a global and national leader in advancing knowledge in transportation, land use, and mobility. But what really truly sets this work apart is its impact. Research conducted at U of T does not sit on a shelf. It's actively shaping policy, planning, and decision-making across all levels of government, as well as within transit agencies, with some private sector partners, and community organizations. Through long-standing collaborations with our municipal governments, with Metrolinx, MTO, federal ministries, our work is applied in ways that directly improve transportation systems across the region. And much of this impact comes through modeling and forecasting tools that help governments plan for the future. For decades, U of T has led the way in developing sophisticated travel demand models, giving decision makers the ability to anticipate the impacts of population growth, of evolving travel patterns, and infrastructure needs. And these tools have been instrumental in guiding our transit investments and service planning, ensuring that our transportation systems adapt to the changing needs of communities. At the same time, the urgency of climate change has placed a renewed focus on understanding and reducing greenhouse gas emissions from transportation. U of T researchers have pioneered advanced methods to model emissions and evaluate different decarbonization strategies, providing evidence-based insights that help governments meet their climate targets. And this work is shaping policies at every level, ensuring that sustainable mobility solutions are at the heart of transportation planning. Of course, transportation is more than just movement. It's about access, opportunity, and equity. And research at U of T has pushed the boundaries of how we think about fair and inclusive transportation systems, ensuring that mobility isn't just efficient, but also just. From developing new ways to measure accessibility gaps, to rethinking transit fare policies, this work has been instrumental in advancing equity-based approaches in transportation planning. Advancements in technology are also transforming how cities manage mobility in real time. AI and data-driven innovation are enabling smarter traffic and transit control systems, improving congestion management, and optimizing public transit operations. U of T research has been at the forefront of these developments, helping agencies deploy real-time solutions that enhance the reliability, safety, and efficiency of urban transportation networks. Beyond planning and operations, U of T has played a leading role in rethinking how we finance and deliver major transportation infrastructure projects. As cities and regions face increasing financial constraints, our researchers are exploring new strategies for funding transit expansion, improving public-private partnerships, and helping to ensure that our investments in transportation align with long-term urban growth and sustainability goals. So these are just a few examples of how research at U of T is driving real-world change. More than just academic exercises, these projects demonstrate the power of partnerships between researchers, government, agencies, and practitioners. Collaborations that are shaping the future of transportation in our region. Okay, I've spent quite a bit of time talking about us, but what about you? Researchers at the university are not only driven by curiosity, we often take our inspiration from the incredibly wicked problems that arise in our region, the very challenges that you, as practitioners, work to manage and solve on a daily basis. Whether it's addressing affordability, accessibility, congestion, climate impacts, these are all incredibly complex, evolving issues that demand expertise, creativity, and action. And so often we find that we share priorities, that the problems that drive your work in practice are also the problems that fuel our research, creativity. I'll take a moment to acknowledge that the Ministry of Transportation and Metrolinx had planned to be here today, with more than 30 delegates registered to attend. Unfortunately, due to the provincial election and their caretaking role of the government during this time, they're unable to participate in today's events. So their absence today is not a reflection of their engagement, but rather a procedural necessity during an election period. We know that MTO and Metrolinx remain deeply committed to these conversations happening here, and we look forward to continuing our work with them as the initiative moves forward. But I think their absence only reinforces the importance of having structured, institutionalized spaces for knowledge exchange, so that collaboration isn't dependent on who's able to join and be in the room on any given day, but it's something that's sustained over the long term. And that's exactly what the Mobility Network Research Consortium, I'll start calling it the MNRC, is designed to accomplish. By creating a platform for ongoing cooperation, we can ensure that expertise, whether from academia or government, does not exist in isolation, but instead feeds into shared progress. In our region, collaboration has always been at the heart of meaningful progress in transportation and land use planning. The challenges we face, whether it's congestion, affordability, the climate crisis, demand solutions that bridge research, policy, and practice. To truly move the needle, we need sustained, structured, and strategic partnerships that ensure research is not only relevant, but also directly useful in shaping decisions. And that's why we're launching the MNRC, a new initiative designed to institutionalize collaboration between researchers and practitioners, ensuring that policy and practice are informed by cutting-edge research and that research is grounded in the realities of implementation. The Greater Golden Horseshoe is growing at an incredible pace, and that growth brings amazing opportunities and at the same time significant challenges. Infrastructure and housing development have struggled to keep up. Congestion, affordability concerns, climate pressures are all mounting. And governments at all levels have well-articulated goals for equity, sustainability, and coordinated transportation and land use planning. but there are still critical knowledge gaps in how best to implement policies, investments, interventions, infrastructure projects that will successfully meet the goals being articulated. And that's where the MNRC comes in. We're working to raise funds to establish a sustained program of research that reflects the key priorities of our regional stakeholders, aiming for a budget of more than $1 million per year in dedicated research funding. This will provide a stable foundation for collaborative, policy-relevant research that directly supports decision makers and practitioners. But beyond research, the MNRC will play a crucial role in workforce development, helping to train the next generation of transportation professionals. Our students and researchers will gain exposure to real-world problem-solving and interdisciplinary collaboration, ensuring that the people shaping transportation in the decades to come are ready to bridge the gap between research and practice. We're building not just a research initiative, but a knowledge community. You're all members of our community that will bring together leading scholars, policymakers, and practitioners to continuously share insights, debate new ideas, and push forward the conversations on mobility and land use planning. And the timing for this couldn't be better. We are at a critical moment for transportation and housing in this region, with billions of dollars of transit investment in progress, a rapidly shifting policy environment, and an urgent need to address affordability and climate concerns. We must seize this opportunity to create something that's truly transformative for the future. So today is just the beginning of that. In the coming months, we'll be working with partners across the region to formalize the MNRC structure, define our research priorities, and advance our fundraising efforts. Today marks the start of that journey, and I invite you all to be a part of it. As we move forward, today's program has been designed to give you the freedom to explore the topics that resonate most with you. A quick thank you to all of my colleagues across the university who curated the panels in all of our breakout sessions today. So throughout the day, we'll have those concurrent sessions running in 4 different rooms, including this one, covering a range of critical issues at the intersection of transportation, land use, housing, climate, equity, and new technologies. And you can pick and choose your own adventure today through the program. I hope that there's something here for everyone. So much of the day will allow for these breakout discussions to occur, but we'll also be coming back together in this room as a full group 3 more times today. First, after lunch, we will have the privilege of hearing from our distinguished keynote speaker, Professor Daniel Rodriguez, Director of the Institute for Transportation Studies at UC Berkeley. Thank you so much for making it here today, Daniel. And as the director of one of the world's premier transportation research institutes, he brings deep expertise in fostering impactful research collaborations between academia, government, and practice, something that we're striving to build here with the MNRC. Later in the afternoon at 4:40, we'll reconvene for an exciting debate with the motion, "Cars are still the future of mobility in the GGH." So, this debate is not just about the arguments on either side of that motion. It's about the MNRC's commitment to embracing discussion, to embracing critical thinking, and to foster the healthy exchange of ideas. So as we develop and nurture our shared knowledge community, forums like this will be essential in shaping how we navigate the pressing challenges of transportation and housing to come. Finally, after a full day of discussions and keynotes and the debate, we'll close with a cocktail reception happening behind me now. And that'll be a chance to reflect, connect, and continue those conversations in a more relaxed setting. So as we close this opening session, I want to take a moment to reflect again on the opportunity that stands before us. We know that transportation and housing are fundamental to how we live, work, and connect with one another. We also know that the challenges we face congestion, affordability, climate change are not just technical problems. They're human problems. They impact families, communities, and livelihoods. And yet, within all of this complexity, I feel very confident that we're not powerless. This room is filled with people who have dedicated their careers to understanding, shaping, and improving the systems that define our cities and regions. So we are planners, engineers, policymakers, researchers, people who all care deeply about creating a more just, sustainable, and thriving future. But I remind you that this progress can't happen in silos. No single institution, no single research paper or project, no single policy decision is going to get us to where we need to go. It's only through collaboration, through sustained, institutionalized cooperation that we will get the transformative change that we need. And that's really why we're here today. This conference isn't just a series of presentations. It's the beginning of a larger movement, a movement to ensure that the work that we do doesn't stay within the walls of academia or within the halls of government, but is shared, tested, improved, and that the best ideas that we come up with collectively get put into action. So my call to you today is to stay involved, stay engaged, and advocate for our continued collaboration. Take what you hear today, what inspires you and what challenges you, and bring it back to your teams, your directors, your organizations, even your elected officials, and tell them why our work together matters. Tell them why our research and our practice need to stay aligned, and tell them that we can't afford to operate in silos, either across academia and the real world or between you, your municipalities and other stakeholders in the region. So the MNRC is just getting started. Over the next months, we'll be building the foundation for this long-term institutionalized collaboration. So if you believe, as I do, that this kind of partnership is essential to our region's future, I invite you to be a part of it. Tomorrow, we've already organized a leadership workshop, and leaders from governments across the Greater Golden Horseshoe have been invited to take the next steps in shaping the MNRC. But not everyone is at the table yet. If you're not sure whether your organization is represented tomorrow, find me or find a member of my team, and we'll try to do our best to bring you into the fold. For now, our conversations are focused on municipal, provincial, and federal government partners, but we hope to expand opportunities to other universities, to private sector firms, and community organizations in the future to bring them in meaningful ways. This is just the beginning. And I would also say that MNRC is today a regional initiative, but it could be much more than that in the future. I see it as a test bed for something bigger. We see this as a model that could expand to a national consortium or inspire the development of regional research consortia across the country. I think if we get the MNRC right, it will have a lasting impact on the state of transportation and land use research and planning for the generations to come. So let's not let today just be another conference. Let's make it the start of something bigger. And together we have the knowledge, the passion, and the expertise to shape a better future for our cities and our communities. Thanks.